Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, United States Vice President Kamala Harris reiterates U.S. support for the Philippines against coercion in the South China Sea. The U.S. VP also made a historic visit to Palawan and met with Coast Guard officials aboard BRP Teresa Magbanua. Coast Guard spokesperson Commodore Armand Balilo joins us live. And the government is set to release guidelines on how OFWs can claim unpaid salaries from Saudi Arabia. Migrant workers under Secretary Hans Kakdak joins us also later in the program. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris wrapped up her three-day state visit to the Philippines with a symbolic trip to Palawan. It brought her near the edge of the South China Sea while delivering a message that takes aim at China, but not quite. Senior correspondent David Santos filed this report from Puerto Princesa.
In what is described as a historic visit to the front lines of the South China Sea disputes, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris carefully treads the line while reiterating a powerful message of support to the Philippines.
We will continue to rally our allies and partners against unlawful and irresponsible behavior. When the international rules-based order is threatened somewhere, it is threatened everywhere. As the United States has long made clear, we support the 2016 ruling of the UN Arbitral Tribunal, which delivered a unanimous and final decision firmly rejecting China's expansive South China Sea maritime claims. The tribunal's decision is legally binding and must be respected.
While touring BRP Teresa Magbanua, she also highlighted U.S. partnership on training and equipment to aid the Philippine Coast Guard. While speaking on board the ship that currently patrols the West Philippine Sea, Filipino Coast Guard personnel stood behind her, seen as a symbolic gesture of the two nations' long-standing alliance.
The United States and the broader international community have a profound stake in the future of this region. America's prosperity relies on the billions of dollars that flow through these waters every day. And we are proud to work with you in your mission.
Her trip to Palawan also brought Harris to a dialogue in a fishing community discussing the impact of foreign vessels trespassing onto Philippine waters, from depleting the fish stock, harassing local fishers, to polluting and destroying the marine ecosystem.
So this is how I see it. To protect the economic vitality of these communities, to protect the ecosystems they rely on, and to protect lives and livelihoods, we must uphold international rules and norms.
VP Harris's message of solidarity as well as criticisms of countries like China, ironically, was delivered on board a vessel that was named after a Filipina hero who fought against foreign forces, including the United States. In Puerto Princesa City, David Santos, CNN Philippines.
And let's go straight to the source of the story. First off, we have Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson Commodore Armand Balilo. Commodore Balilo, welcome back to the source. Sir, thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Pinky. Maraming salamat sa pagkakataon.
Siguro unang-una na po, Commodore, how do you see or what is the significance of the visit of Vice President Kamala Harris in Palawan?
Well, unang-una, because as we all know, Palawan is near the South China Sea. At ito yung sa Coast Guard, ito yung launching ground namin, no? Whenever we go to the West Philippine Sea to conduct patrol operations. On the part of the Philippine Coast Guard, nagtataka nga kami bakit kami yung napiling puntahan, no? Of all the activities na meron, yung Coast Guard po ang napili. Sabi nga namin siguro because we are at the forefront of the maritime operation of efforts in the West Philippine Sea, kaya tayo yung naman pinagpapalagay.
Commodore, when you said na nagtaka ho kayo, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing in a way because this is a recognition of our role na ginagampanan pagdating nga po sa pag-maintain ng peace and order at saka yung sa functions ng Philippine Coast Guard at sa ginagawa naming yung mga efforts ng Philippine Coast Guard dito sa West Philippine Sea po.
And she was aboard the BRP Teresa Magbanua, where the Philippine Coast Guard took her around the vessel. What did she say, first of all, touring the BRP Teresa Magbanua?
Well, ipinakita namin yung capability ng Teresa Magbanua. I'm sure siya naman ay familiar sa mga ships ng Amerika at advanced ito. Pero ito namang Teresa Magbanua can stand on her own. Maganda po yung pagkagawa ng ship at saka yung kanyang capabilities at pwedeng ipagmalaki. But on top of that, yung amin hong focal person sa West Philippine Sea, si Captain J. Tarela, also discuss some matters in relation to our patrol operations sa West Philippine Sea. Nagbigay po ng updates at very appreciative naman po si Vice President. Ganun din po kay Commander Erwin Tolentino na skipper ng ship ng Teresa Magbanua.
Did she mention anything about the BRP Teresa Magbanua?
Opo, si Commander Tolentino po was briefing her on the capability ng Teresa Magbanua. And aside from the capability ay yung mga patrol operations na ginawa sa West Philippine Sea at yun lamang po at pagkatapos ay nag-proceed na po si Vice President dun sa baba para po dun sa kanyang speech, sa kanyang address dun sa mga taong nandun sa Teresa Magbanua kahapon.
Yeah, and isn't it also true, Commodore, that there was some sort of joint training between America and Filipinos aboard the BRP Teresa Magbanua recently? Tama ho ba yun?
Yes, lagi naman ito, Pinky, yung training na ginagawa. The American, yung US Coast Guard in particular, has been very active in the training of our personnel sa pagdating sa law enforcement at vessel boarding activities ng Philippine Coast Guard. Matagal na pong ginagawa ito at recently lang po yung mga personnel ng ng US Coast Guard were at the Teresa Magbanua para sanayin yung aming mga personnel on kasama na po yung diving, kasama na po yung vessel boarding para po sa aming mga law enforcement teams.
I see. So some of the statements made by the U.S. Vice President, she said basically she's in Palawan to underscore our partnership for economic opportunities, maintain peace and stability, and uphold international rules and norms in the South China Sea. Was there any commitment made by the U.S. Vice President to the Philippine Coast Guard?
Well, kahapon naka-anchor yung kanyang pagsasalita, yung sinabi niya doon sa illegal fishing tsaka pagsustain ng ecosystem dito sa West Philippine Sea na siyang livelihood ng ating mga kababayan na sabi niya kailangan itong masustain, pagtulong-tulungan, lalong-lalo na po yung case ng illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. And to that effect, she mentioned na dapat ma-increase yung capacity ng maritime law enforcement agencies to counter this IUU. Pangalawa po, ma-enhance yung monitoring system. Pangatlo po ay ma-increase yung ating mga assets at matulungan yung mga personnel para ready kami at para magawa namin yung tungkulin namin to avoid or to deter ito pong illegal fishing na lagi niyang na sinasabi niya nga na ito ang livelihood ng mga kababayan natin as she interacted with the local fishing community at na-share po ng mga kababayan natin yung kanilang experience pagdating po doon sa kanilang fishing activities. And yun na nga po yung commitment ng US at sila would stand with us pagdating po sa paglaban doon sa pagkasira ng karagatan at yung kanilang vision na masustain yung ating ecosystem para po sa mga kababayan natin. Kung yan po ang
But were
pag-uusapan,
there
kami po sa Coast Guard ay talaga po we will support that, and yan naman po ang direction din namin.
Opo. But Commodore, were there solid commitments made during the visit to be able to fight yung tinatawag nga na, ang tawag po dito, no, as you mentioned, IUU, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing?
Well, in terms of sa pera o sa money, sa funding na konkreto, wala naman pong nasabi, wala pa pong commitment. Pero tayo naman po ay umaasa na tayo ay matutulungan in terms of, sabi niya nga, ay pagdating sa personnel, sa equipage at dun sa monitoring system. Ang isa pong tinitingnan din namin na makakabuti ay yung sa maritime domain awareness po na sinasabi niyang magkakaroon ng isang palalakasin yung information sharing ng mga bansa, lalo na dito sa Indo-Pacific. And ito na may hindi lamang pagdating sa sigalot sa West Philippine Sea, kundi sa laban na rin po sa terrorism, sa drugs, sa smuggling, at magiging maganda po ito para sa atin lalo na po sa Philippine Coast Guard.
Could you further explain that to us, yung in terms of information sharing, as you mentioned a while ago, especially in the Indo-Pacific, how does this work? Ano ho ba ang dagdag na makukuha ng Pilipinas in terms of information sharing?
Program for Maritime Domain Awareness as instructed by President Biden during one of the forums sa Indo-Pacific. At ang ibig lang sabihin nito ay magiging proactive at magiging tutulungan tayo ng gusto para meron tayong common information pagdating po sa laban sa illegal activities at sea. Yun lang naman po ito.
Matagal na hong sinusubukan at ginagawa ng paraan ng Philippine Coast Guard na pangalagaan ang ating karagatan, gayon din po ang ating mga mangingisda. In fact, she said, hindi ho ba kanina you touched on this, but not in these exact words. She said the vitality of the community is at risk. Yun po yung sinabi niya. The impact when foreign vessels enter Philippine waters and illegally deplete the fishing stock, when they harass and pollute the ocean and destroy the marine ecosystem. Hearing those words, Commodore Armand Balilo, paano ho niyo natatanggap ito? How did you feel about this, hearing it from the U.S. Vice President?
Pinky, medyo yung signal, no? Pero if I may just share yung kahapon tungkol din doon. Anyway, the Philippine Coast Guard, yun din naman ang aming plataforma, yun din naman ang mission namin, ma-preserve yung environment, at we will do whatever it takes para mapigilan yung mga poachers, yung mga illegal entry na mga illegal fishermen from other countries na maaring sumira dun sa ating ecosystem. And we are one with them. Hindi na kailangan sabihin pa na yun nga yung dapat gawin, at sapagkat ito na may ginagawa na natin noon pa. Of course, kailangan lang din natin gamit pa ng support ng gobyerno. Sabi ko nga, kahit pagsamasamahin yung assets ng AFP, ng Maritime Police o ng Coast Guard at ng BIFAR, still mahirap para sa amin, no, kung kukonti yung assets at yung monitoring system. And it's about time na talagang magkaroon pa ng development in terms of equipage set na personnel para po sa Philippine Coast Guard at sa other maritime agencies in order for us to comply with yung ating trabaho na ma-preserve yung ating ecosystem, yung marine environment for the livelihood of our countrymen.
Very important, you said, sir. We need assets, we need a monitoring system, and we need personnel. Sa Philippine Coast Guard ho ba, ilan pa ang bakante na pwedeng punan ng mga gusto pong pumasok sa Philippine Coast Guard?
Well, marami pa, no? Ongoing pa po yung recruitment namin. But at this point of time, na medyo talagang dumadami po yung ating responsibility, lumalaki po dahil po dito sa dito po sa nangyayari sa West Philippine Sea. Ang kailangan po talaga natin ay madagdagan pa yung mga floating assets natin para po hindi lang sa ating patrol operation sa maritime security, sa ibang functions pa po ng Philippine Coast Guard para makaresponde pa po tayo dun sa ibang mission ng Philippine Coast Guard all over the country.
Just yes, Commodore, just one more topic now before you go. Can you just give us more information about the blasts that were supposedly heard in Pag-asa Island? Can you give us information on this? Ano ba nangyari?
Thank you. Wala akong information dyan. It's the Western Command who reported that. That reported that. No. Sa Coast Guard, we're checking. We're tasking our personnel in the area to check and validate yung incident kasama na yung mga circumstances surrounding that.
But ano ho ito meron pong relation because the last time we spoke also, hindi ho ba, Commodore, pinag-usapan natin yung mga parts, mga bakal na nahanap sa Busuanga at isa pa pong lugar recently due to supposedly this rocket that was fired by China. So in this regard, there's nothing that any information that you can share with us to further confirm what was supposedly meron pong kinukuha yung, I think it's a Navy vessel doon po sa Pag-asa.
We just got the report from yung sa Western Command, no? Pati yung incident nung pagkuha nung debris, yung possible debris. Pero wala kaming additional information. We are still checking with our personnel, Pinky.
Okay.
Nagpapakala pa kami ng information. Once na meron kami, we'll be sharing it with you.
But those that were initially recovered by the fishermen, like the one in Busuanga, sir, na-turn over na ho ba yun?
Hindi na recover ito Pinky, base doon sa report ng Westcom.
No, the one in Busuanga, sir, the one in Coron.
Walang report na na-recover ito as far as we're concerned. And yun na nga, sabi ko sa'yo, check pa namin yung circumstances nito at wala pa rin kaming makuha malinaw na information as to what really transpired.
All right, Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson Armand Balilo, sir, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Pinky. Thank you. Maraming salamat sa pagkakataon.
And we will be taking a short break. The source will be right back.